Yo, what's good people and welcome to the channel. If you want to know how to make a sample like this, then stick around and let's just get straight to it. So the idea of this sample come from my friend who sent me just like a layer stacked nice vintage sample. I'm going to put both of their Instagrams on the screen now, and they're going to be in the description, to make sure to follow them for giving me the idea of this video. So with this video I don't want to focus as much on the instruments, I want to focus on the percussion and the vocals. I'm going to just show you how to layer stack them just to create a nice vintage sound. And I use this vintage upright piano, as you can see here. And all I've done with that is just put a little bit of EQ and reverb. So after that is where I just layer stack the percussion. So I'm going to show you the 5 different layers that I've used. So the first one I use is just me snapping my fingers. I'm going to show you the before and after. And all I did with that is just put this little bit of reverb on, and I've just EQ'd a lot, as you can see here. And this is what it sounds like with the effects. Next, I've literally just made a rhythm by just tapping my finger on my mouse for my computer. So this is what it sounds like dry. It's a very harsh sound and it has that fuzz from my computer like fan noise, but I feel like it just gives overall character to it. And all I've done on this was just EQ again and a little bit of a cassette. Next I found this snap of splice that sounds like this. And with this, all I've done is put a room reverb on, just to give it a little bit denser, like room reverb. EQ'd out again. And then I've used this vintage plugin just to downsample it a little bit, give it that nice final tape noise. So it sounds like this with the effect. What I like about that is cutting the low end and it's stacking on top of that snapped finger recording. Next I've got this tambourine. And as you can see, I use this 1/8 delay, which I automated. And I'll show you when the effects are on. After that, I wanted to get a little bit of variation in the second half, and for this I've just made like weird noises with my mouth. I don't really know what it is, but it sounds like this dry. I've put this like plate reverb on it, and it's sort of drowning out what is coming out my mouth, which just sounds better, I'll say. EQ a little bit again. And then just a little bit of a jaw delay just to give it that nice like wobble effect. So once I've got all these percussions, I want it to be more like tighter. So as you can see here, I've put them all in just this perk bus. And with the bus, I've just added this parallel crunch just to make it a little bit more like bright and in certain tones. And then I've used this like nice vinyl tape compression just to make it a little bit more like together. It just glues it together. And then again a little tiny reverb which just gives it a little bit more character. And as you can see, I've just brought the mix down. So together this is what the whole percussion sounds like. So after that's done, obviously I'm just adding a little bit more instruments. So the second half I just added this bass that sounds like this. And I've added this pluck guitar, which is sort of like a counter melody. So as you can see here, I've added this ping pong delay, so it's pounding left to right, and it's just giving it overall like a bigger picture. Next I've just added these bells. Once I had that whole sample idea, I wanted to add vocals, so I'm going to open a new project that just shows you how I layer vocals. So as you can probably see here, there's a lot going on with the vocals. I'm using these vocals to like stack so they're more brighter and they sound more realistic, like it's sort of like a choir. So what's important about these vocals is I'm panning them in all different sections, and I'm making multiple recordings, so it's just a little bit different each time. So I've got this first recording, which is panned all the way to the left, that sounds like this. Another recording, but it's panned all the way to the right this time. If I play them together, they sound like this. It's giving it more like a dynamic range of like stereo. So with the vocals, all I've done is auto-tune. I'm using like a mix bus. So I've got a second version of the same vocals. And as you can see here, it's not panned all the way, it's like 70%. And then I've got a right recording, which is panned 70% as well. To stack together, they all sound like this. They just make the whole like vocal just sound more brighter and just more together. As you can see with the 4 tracks here, I just sent them all to this bus. So, and with this, all I've done is just a little bit old boy, just to give it a little more down tone. This heavy reverb, so it's sort of drowning the vocals out. And then I'm just getting rid of the low end. I feel like the vocals were fine how they was. So I didn't really need to mix them as much. So with them vocals, I tracked them out and I made a higher pitch version. And the reason why they're so high is because I'm going to bring them down. And I've centered them a little bit more, so the stereo is just more mono, and it just gives it a nice like dynamic range to the frequencies. And all I've done with this is just add this ping pong delay. It's quite heavy in the feedback, as you can see, and I've got a reverse version that I've sped up as well that sounds like this. Then I wanted to layer stack some more vocals on like the first version, but I wanted it to be a little bit slower, so it sounds like this. And again, as you can see here, I've just panned it all the way to the left. And then we've got the right version, which I re-recorded. And then I've put them in their own bus and just added this little dense reverb that was drowning it out. These 2 vocals sound like this. So with everything so far, it sounds like this. And then I wanted to give it a nice build up on the chords. So I added this version of the vocal. Then I've got like a lower pitch version that I've recorded, a little different lyric. So together these 2 sound like this. So I use this plate reverb on the vocals because it's quite high and I just like to drown it out so it's like a choir. Then I've used this delay just to give echo going into the chords. And then I just made the volume tighter with this like compression. And then finally with all the vocals, I've put them into their own mix channel, added this smooth vocal so it's just making the vocals really tight together and glued. And then I've used this mild tube voc, which sort of just makes the vocals cut through the mix of the sample more. So let's just listen to the whole sample. I've brought this down by 3 semitones and this is what it sounds like. If you want to see more videos, you know what to do. Subscribe, comment down below, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one, people.